Hello guys, so what is gender? Gender is a social construct. It is a repeating process and will only end if you died. For example, gender is constructed by society and society will determine if you are something or something. So, gender and sexuality are two different things. But gender and sexuality are so closely related if we study in gender study. Hello guys, so what is empathy? The term empathy is used to describe a wide range of experiences. Emotional researchers generally define empathy as the ability to sense other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. Contemporary researchers often differentiate between two types of empathy. Firstly, affective empathy refers to the sensation and feelings we get in the response to others' emotion. This can include mirroring what that person is feeling or just feeling stressed when detect another's fear or anxiety. Secondly, cognitive empathy, sometimes called as the perspective taking, refers to our ability to identify and understand other people's emotions. Studies suggest that people with autism spectrum disorders have a hard time empathizing. Empathy seems to have a deep roots in our brains and bodies, and in our evolutionary history. Elementary forms of empathy has been observed in our primate relatives, in dogs and even in rats. Empathy has been associated with two different pathways in the brain, and scientists have speculated that some aspects of empathy can be traced to mirror neurons cells in the brain that fire when observe someone else perform an action in much the same way that they would fire if we performed an action ourselves. Researchers have also uncovered evidence a genetic basis to empathy. Two studies suggest that people can enhance their natural empathy. Having empathy doesn't necessarily mean we'll want to help someone in need, though it's often a vital first step towards compassionate action.
Empathy is routinely misused as a synonym for recognizing a person's point of view, derived from the Greek words em and pathos. It literally means into feeling. As such, empathy is the process of identifying with psychological feelings, attitude, and thoughts of another person.
So in this video we'll see or watch how selective empathy acts in male and female. Let's have it.
Bullseye.
Bro, wait, ada kosong guys? Ada belakang. As you can see in this video, this guy wants to find a seat and wants to sit with them. Instead, this one dude tells him that there's an available seat, but in the back. Let's watch another video.
Bullseye.
Duduk, duduk. Nak tengok korang tadi duduk kat sini. Lana semua dah penuh dah. Well, As you can see in this video, this girl wants to find a seat and they're searching where they want to sit. There's one guy called their names and called them come over and sit with their gang. So, as you guys know, in the video between the first and the second video, society with their mindset helps female more rather than male. This is because they thought male is more independent, that knows what they do in any situation. Sad for male, eh? Let's see the other video.
Bullseye.
Kerja apa lagi? Boleh. Sorry. So the first video looks like the guy hit the girl's shoulder and she dropped her files. The guy feels bad and helped the girl to assemble her files back. Let's see the other video.
Bullseye.
Bro, kira bro. Takkan dapat bro. Sorry bro, stay saja bro. Sorry. Sorry bro, sorry. Hai. Dapat cepat. Sorry bro. Okay. In the first video, we can see that the first guy hits the second guy's back. The second guy dropped all files in the ground. The first guy only says sorry again and again. The second guy immediately says, okay, and take his files and move on. So, as you can see in this both video, society has more focus towards more on female because their mindset tells that female is weaker than male. Well, male considered as self-sufficient.
Alright guys, if you all done watching the previous video, so let's watch for the last video. Check it out.
Bullseye. Bullseye.
So, as we can see based on those two videos, we can see that how the girls help and not help the girls who falls her book. In the first video, we can see that the two girls doesn't help the girl who falls her book. And in the second video, we can see how the girls help the girl who falls her book. In the second video, we can see that how the two girls have empathy, or specifically affective empathy. What is affective empathy? So what is affective empathy? Affective empathy, also called emotional empathy, the capacity to respond with an appropriate emotion to another mental states. Our ability to empathize emotionally is based on emotional contagion. being affected by another's emotional or arousal state. Effective empathy can be subdivided into the following scales. Firstly, empathetic concern, sympathy, and compassion for others in responsible. Effective empathy can be divided into the following scales. First, empathic concern, the sympathy and compassion for others in response to their suffering. In the second video, we can see how the girls who falls the book suffer and the two girls help. This is called effective empathy being act in the two person who helps the girl. The second one is self-distress, self-centered feelings of discomfort and anxiety in response to another suffering. There is no consensus regarding whether personal distress is a basic form of constitute empathy. There may be a developmental aspect to this subdivision. Infants respond to the distress of others by getting distressed themselves. Only when they are 2 years old do they start to respond in other oriented ways. The third one is cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy is the capacity of understand another's perspective or mental state. The term cognitive empathy and theory of mind or mentalizing are often used to synonymously, but due to a lack of studies comparing theory of mind with types of empathy, it is unclear whether these are equivalent to each other. Although science has not yet agreed upon a precise definition of these constructs, there is a consensus about this distinction. Affective and cognitive empathy are also independent from one another. Someone who strongly emphasizes emotionally is not necessarily good in understanding another's perspective. Cognitive empathy can be divided into the following scales. The first one is perspective, taking the tendency to spontaneously adopt others' psychological perspective. For instance, if someone is having a hard time, one does simply get the feeling of the other person who's having the hard time. So cognitive empathy can be subdivided into 3 subscales. The first one, perspective taking, the tendency to spontaneously adopt others' psychological perspective. The second one, fantasy, the tendency to identify with fictional characters. And the third one, tactical or strategic empathy, which is the deliberate use of perspective taking to achieve certain desired ends. The third type of empathy is somatic empathy. So what is somatic empathy? Somatic empathy is a physical reaction, probably based on mirror neuron responses in the somatic nervous system. So from the video we have watched, you can see how the male or the boy helps the female, because their perspective or how they think that female is vulnerable and weak, so they have to help the female because they are the protector and the female is the nurturer and the giver. I think that the male helps the female, you may ask. This is because the stigma or how the society thinks that the male is braver or bold than the female, so they have to help the female because they think that they are stronger, they are braver and bolder than a female. Also, the male has a high survivability skill and is able to think differently from the female.
There are no easy answers for how to elevate one's consciousness and empathetic response. What I can say is that through daily choices of mindset and behavior, anyone can rewire their brain toward empathy. As with everything, we need to take a multifaceted approach. Rigorous mindfulness training, loving kindness, meditation, and giving back through altruistic behavior and volunteering go a long way. Sometimes, just a simple, "Hey, are you okay?" is all you need.